I'm just saying, imagine trying to live your middle of nowhere, sleepy town fantasy, and all of a sudden a giant triangle rift opens in the middle of the sky. Yeah, I would believe that twins were a sign of the devil too. Hey, it's Allie, welcome and welcome back to my channel. Babes, wake up. Babes, wake up, it's 2013 again. Dan and Phil, Miku, Deadpool, and of course Gravity Falls are trending on Tumblr. And that just reminds you of a time where you would race home, turn on the Disney Channel to see what new episode would be out of Gravity Falls. And all you can think while watching the show is, wow, this is going to be my personality for the next couple of years. That, and also, it must suck to live in Gravity Falls. I've been rewatching Gravity Falls lately, and also I've been watching the YouTuber Mugiwater no Goofy. Shout out to him for this video format. And throughout all of this rewatching, and of course with the added context of the Book of Bill, I just cannot imagine actually living as a regular civilian in Gravity Falls. Because I think all of us, especially when we first started watching the show, was like, oh, everything was crazy once the twins showed up. Like, they're the reason why everything went, to kind of, But realizing that we were focused on the wrong twins. It wasn't the Pines twins that made it go crazy. It was the Stan twins that made everything go crazy. After the drunken bender Bill had in Ford's body, it's clear that this town was always going through it in one way or another. So I want to go through the events of Gravity Falls through the eyes of somebody who was just living their average everyday life there. So you may be wondering who I'm going to choose to be our eyes and ears on this adventure. You may be thinking like Phil Ford McGucket, he has a lot of history there. Pacifica also has a lot of history there, and I'm sure her whole world was shaken when the Pines twins showed up, okay? But no, not any of these characters actually. In fact, I needed someone who somehow, some way would just happen to be everywhere all at once, but also someone who wasn't going to touch the narrative in any way, shape, or form. So I made my own character. Yeah, this is what your unemployed art friend does at 2 p.m. on Saturdays. So welcome Odette. Odette is a 20-something-year-old journalist, kind of turned conspiracy theorist in the city of Gravity Falls. Now, why is she leaning towards conspiracy theorists? Well, it's because she's seen some things. But not only has she seen some things, she knows that other people around town have also seen some things. And yet everybody wants to pretend that they haven't seen anything. So unlike Dipper, whose whole character arc is trying to prove to the town that these things are real and that magic is real, these things from another dimension are all real and nobody seems to believe them, it is of Odette's idea that everybody in town actually does know that these things are going on and that magic is real and all of these things are happening. They pick and choose when they want to believe. So she's this little character that I made. I don't have a design for her just yet. Maybe by the time I go to edit this, I will have a design for her. But right now, I don't have a design from her. But hey, if at any time you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe, because I make videos like this all the time, though not in this format. Though if you like this format, maybe I can make a little design for her and then we can do an episode 2 about season 2. That would be great. If you guys like it, if you guys are vibing with it, let me know down in the comments. And also let me know like your favorite part of season 1 of Gravity Falls specifically. Like I think we all think of like everything happening in season 2 because that's when stuff like really starts to get down and all the dots start connecting and all the lore and everything. But I think season 1 does such a good job of setting up everything, of setting up the vibes, the characters especially. Like we get to know these characters by the end of the first season. You're in love with these characters. You're in love with every single character. You're in love with Dipper and Mabel and Grunkle Stan specifically. You're in love with all of them. So when your heart gets ripped out in season 2, it's a calculated move. Everything was a calculated move, and that specifically by Alex Hirsch I know had to be a calculated move. So anyway, let me know down in the comments below and let's jump into it. Gravity Falls is a sleepy town in nowhere, Oregon, and yeah, sure, maybe some weird stuff happens every now and then, but no one ever says anything. Small town secrets, well, no one is gonna say anything because if you say something, then you're the weirdo and you have to point out how weird everything is, and nobody in a small town wants to deal with that. I mean, the place is surrounded by woods. You would think that they would at least think that like Bigfoot is real or something.
Grunkle Stan, whenever I'm in those woods, I feel like I'm being watched.
And though not always, mostly the days go by pretty quietly. That is, of course, until the Pines twins show up, Dipper and Mabel Pines, the great niece and nephew to that weird guy who lives in the wood named Stan. He runs this weird oddity scam shop thing, and at that place, you're more likely to get tetanus from the deer beaver hybrid stuffed thing he has on the wall rather than any other thing in there being actually real. And you swear a couple of years back you heard about a drunken bender that this man went on running around town almost as if he was possessed or something. And at this point, yeah, you don't really trust him. I don't think anybody in the town really trusts him. Man was supposedly a recluse for years, then all of a sudden goes on these wild drunken benders talking to everybody in town, and that seems to have changed him because now he's very talkative, almost too talkative, some would say.
My ex-wife still misses me, but her aim is getting better. Her aim is getting better.
But hey, Odette has stopped trying to make sense of it years ago. And now the kids are here for the summer working for him in his shop. And Odette swears that the moment these two stepped into town, things started to get weird again. First of all, let's talk about Mabel. Nice girl, very sweet, very energetic. And she's definitely 12 because only tweens and teens wear just gigantic sweaters with a shirt underneath during the summer and just pretend that they're completely fine. I don't care how temperate the Pacific Northwest summers are. No way you're wearing a full sweater and a shirt underneath the entire time without absolutely sweating down to the bone. But hey, this girl, she's quirky, okay? She is the OG quirky girl. She's the original girl's girl to me. Like, Mabel is the original girl's girl to me. Like, she's a little quirky, but she's not like, I'm not like other girls quirky, especially as a 12-year-old during that time where that was running very, very rampant online, okay? She was so genuine and so true as a character, and you know what, she gets what she wants, okay, which is the first thing she does when she gets to Gravity Falls is try to get a boyfriend, and succeeds multiple times. She also has a pet pig named Waddles, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get there when we get there. And you know, both of the twins are kind of stubborn in that way, and I'm sure it'll have no consequences whatsoever. And Odette swears the first guy that she decides to get with was this zombie like guy who's just been slinking around town staring at every girl within a 5-mile radius. However, he suddenly disappears one day while dating Mabel, and Odette swears on the big triangle in the sky that she saw a mech-like gnome running through the woods, chasing the pines on a go-kart. And who was driving this golf cart? Well, no other than Dipper Pines. Now, Dipper's kind of like if Scott Pilgrim was not a weirdo, and not a loser. Still just as awkward with people and girls especially, but you know, at least he's trying to date someone. Let me stop. And he carries this weird book around him, and don't ask him about it, because he's either going to be highly skeptical of you and probably run off like a newborn fawn, or he's going to sit you down for about 3 hours like a YouTube video essayist and explain why weird stuff is happening in Gravity Falls. Now you think Odette would go and have a conversation with him, but like, no, she's just here to observe. She's just here to observe and write down. Kind of like the Mangus Archives, which is a thing I started watching recently. Watching, reading, listening. It's a podcast. Now look, you can say whatever you want about these twins, but they definitely brought some much needed life into this town, okay? And also that Stan guy seems to be looking a little softer around the edges lately. Also, the biggest attraction before the twins got here was Gideon. Yeah, Gideon Gleeful. There's like something deeply wrong with that child, by the way. Have you seen that tent and his outfit? It's giving mega church cult vibes. Apparently he's a super popular psychic, and apparently he's a real psychic. I put real in quotes. I think everybody in the town is just dumb, but like, you know. And he develops this crush on this poor girl, Mabel. And it's funny that Dipper never saw the parallels between him and Winnie. Granted, Dipper's not like insane in the way that Gideon is insane, but you know, trying to go after somebody who's probably way too old for you, because we find out in the episode where Dipper and Mabel like shrink down and Gideon finds the little light that like caused them to shrink down, and he puts them in their pocket. His pocket. And while they're in that pocket, you can see his student ID, and he goes to an elementary school, and the Pines twins are probably like in the 8th grade or going into the 8th grade because they're 12. So something ain't right about that kid.
When I'm up here looking down at all them little old people, I feel like I'm king of all I survey.
And I feel bad for the poor girl Mabel, because she's just way too nice of a person and wants to see the good in everybody no matter what. I'm sure the internet will be normal about that one. And you end up seeing her and Gideon all over town and in the newspaper saying that they're dating. Again, why are the newspapers and the people in town fancying this? Why? This child relationship, even if this is a child star who is very, very famous, he's like max 10. Like, why is everybody in the town entertaining this idea of this 10-year-old and this 12-year-old being in a, not that like, oh, that's such a bad like age gap. It's just like he's in elementary school. Why do we care so much about what a child's relationship is? Don't worry, we have a lot to say about relationships later. But anyway, and you can clearly see in the papers and all the tabloids and everything that Mabel just doesn't want to be there. And I feel so bad for her because like, girl, you just gotta cut it off. But apparently Dipper went to go cut it off for him, and that set into motion a grand timeline of events of Gideon just hating the Pines family to the extreme. Also love that this restaurant here is just called The Club. Also doesn't seem like a place that elementary schoolers should be able to get into. And when you say something is off about Gideon, you're not just talking about his megalomaniac like tendencies or anything like that. Because while yes, the psychic abilities that he have can all be explained away by just pure coincidence or just observation, he does seem to be able to do a little bit of other things that he probably shouldn't be able to actually do. You know, like levitate things with an amulet, and then come to find out later that he has one of the journals that look oddly familiar to the one that Dipper has. Luckily, the Pines twins, being the cool kids that they are, defeat him in the end, destroy the amulet, and Gideon, of course, swears revenge on the entire family. But hey, at least it's over. You don't have to deal with him anymore. Right? So things continue on as normal from there. Well, as normal as things can get in this town. And Odette hears about a bunch of weird different things going on. And Dipper specifically seems to be spouting off little adventures that he seems to be going off on to anybody in the town that will listen. We're talking haunted convenience store, manly minotaurs in the woods who will teach you how to be a man, Pacifica, which we'll get to her, don't worry. But something strange that Odette has noticed throughout all of these events was Dipper's unending crush on Wendy, the 16-year-old girl who also works at the Mystery Shack. Now, we can sit here and claim that Mabel is boy crazy all day long. In fact, Dipper brings it up multiple times throughout the season about how boy crazy Mabel is. But hello? Okay, boy crazy for every boy that walks by, or very deeply obsessed with a girl too old for you. Too old for you. I was gonna do math there, like a certain percentage, but like it doesn't matter. She's too old for you, bub. She's 16. I'm sure Dipper will figure it out eventually, but brother, what? Like this one time, Odette swears on the big triangle in the sky that she saw Dipper multiple times running around a scam party that Stan is putting on just to impress Wendy. And she still to this day wonders what happened to those clones. Another Dipper moment where the time where the Gravity Falls Fair, Odette swears that she lived the same day over and over and over again. But the only piece of evidence that she has is the fact that at some point she swears that Pacifica owned Waddles, the pig that Mabel now has, and the fact that she saw this weird man in a very weird suit snooping around a bunch of trash in the fair and ending up chasing after the Pines twins, talking about the laws of time travel, and then proceeded to never see him again. I'm sure he won't come back to play either. So at this point, Odette is just like here for the ride, okay? She knows that something weird is going on in this town, but there are so many things happening in broad daylight that affect the townsfolk that goes past Dipper's like obsession with trying to prove things to people. It's less about proving things and more about proving that the town knows and catching everybody in their lies. Speaking of lies, of course we have Pacifica, who is the daughter of the richest family in town, who apparently is great ancestors or great descendants rather of the person who founded Gravity Falls. There's not that much history on it, so it sounds kind of shady, but hey girl, you like it, I love it. And of course, she will never let you forget that she has this small town power. She bullies Mabel a lot, and this is just the beginning of her bullying Mabel. Why? Because she is too afraid of my girl swag, okay? She has that authentic swag, okay? This is 2012, I can say this. She got this authentic swag to her, this authenticity that Pacifica just doesn't have. And imagine being happy. Just imagine being happy and not having to compensate for anything. Oh, couldn't be Mabel. Couldn't be Mabel. Now, I almost forgot because this man is a stain on the bottom of my shoe, but I almost forgot about Robbie, who ends up becoming Wendy's girlfriend during that deja vu day that Odette seemed to have. And normally she wouldn't meddle in teenagers' affairs, but like someone needs to tell Wendy that she can do better. Please, please, please. Because not only is this man just got issues, he's also beefing with a 12-year-old. Yes, he believes that Dipper is going to steal his 16-year-old girlfriend from him. I'm sorry, if you believe that a 7/8th grader is going to steal your sophomore/junior girlfriend away from you, I think you need to go to therapy. I think you need to turn around and take a good hard look in the mirror, bub. Because when she does eventually leave your ass multiple times, it's not gonna be because of Dipper. I mean, technically it was, but like it was well deserved because it was something that Robbie did. Yeah, he was threatening to beat up a 12-year-old. Like actually physically beat up a 12-year-old. That was insane. That was crazy. Not that I have been threatened by older kids in my time, like as a younger kid, right? That has happened before, but like not to this extent. Like never because I was flirting with someone's boyfriend who was in high school. Like if like like it's just every time I think about Robbie, I'm like, wow, you were really beefing with a 12-year-old. Oh, and Gideon's back. Who would have thought? Also, I just noticed this about Gideon's mom. If this is Gideon's mom, then who is Clara? You know, from the TV, from that one episode.
Instead of telepathy. Void where prohibited, no CODs accepted. Carl, I've always loved you, but I've never had the guts to say it.
Yeah, the unstable household is unstabling. SUMMERWEEN is the best part of the year, so it gets to come twice. And not just because it's the middle of summer technically in the story, but we needed to have a Halloween episode for the spooky show. Now, the SUMMERWEEN trickster is something that Odette is very furious about. Because there are a lot of reasons, and a lot of people do believe in the SUMMERWEEN trickster. Seuss, for example, the handyman that works at the Mystery Shack as well. He's like the main one who believes in the SUMMERWEEN trickster. Now, surely this SUMMERWEEN trickster isn't real, right? Surely there isn't some weird-ass Slender Man thing sulking in the woods waiting for SUMMERWEEN to come along so he can hunt down children who don't believe in the SUMMERWEEN spirit. Like, there's no way a weird Slender Man looking ass thing would force 4 children in a Seuss to go trick-or-treating or die. And of course, there's no way that one child who may or may not be named Dipper would mess up again in his never-ending quest to get with Wendy and impress her. It's okay, because 12-year-olds make mistakes, and I'm sure we would offer the same grace to Mabel, right? Anyway, I'm sure the big guy isn't just made up of a bunch of forgotten candy, held together by contempt and anguish that Seuss would then have to eat him alive, right? Oh wait, that's real. Well, even if it was real, I'm sure the kids would learn a valuable lesson about cherishing your youth and the friends around you, and also about eating creepypastas alive. Yeah, this specific event drives Odette crazy. Because you want to know what? Thanks to Dipper in this episode, we have a timeline of events of just the time period in which all of these things are happening. By the time the kids finish trick-or-treating, it's 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. People are starting to blow out all their candles. And by the time the SUMMERWEEN trickster is in the middle of the street, the middle of the suburban street with houses all around, it could be no later than like 9 o'clock. So you're telling me it's 9 p.m. and everybody in this town is asleep? Lies. 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 You mean to tell me that the SUMMERWEEN trickster running around town, them crashing into a building, and nobody decided to look outside their window and go, oh my god, what is that? Not one of them? Not nary a one soul in this godforsaken town? Oh no, this has Odette in conniptions, because no, someone saw that. People had to have seen that. People absolutely had to have seen that. And they're just choosing not to at this point. It's like, pretend I don't see, girl. And this seems to be a running pattern within this town. Because whenever something comes up that they can't ignore, they just suddenly are like, yeah, that tracks. That's a thing that happens. The 8th-and-a-half president being encased in amber and also the founder of Gravity Falls. Deep state conspiracy that apparently the police know about. Guy who looks seriously straight out of a fighting game? Sure, Robbie's okay with that, even though he's scared of him. Legend of a merman living in the local pool. Ask the dude who lives under the pool, he probably knows. Hypnotizing music and boy bands being manufactured in tubes. Well, that's where we get to Stan, who absolutely does believe that music can hypnotize you, and also firmly believes that the apocalypse is coming and that he's actually very serious about it. What do you mean? You wanna care to explain? Care to explain? Hello? And also, Grinda and Candy are so taken aback at first when seeing the boy bands being in the test tubes, but then just are quickly like, okay, yeah, I'm not gonna question it. We're not gonna question anything. We're just gonna go along with this. Now, I know, outside of all of this, we know that it was just so that Alex Hirsch had more characters to bring in on the adventures that the Pines family goes through. However, in universe, it really is just a matter of how much can this town take and how much of it is, yeah, sure, that's okay, that's normal. Yeah, sure, that's okay, that's normal. Until finally, you can't just say, yeah, okay, that's normal. Like, there was a pterodactyl and soon to be more dinosaurs running around the woods and nobody saw it? Suspicious. Oh, and that little boy Gideon, he has finally lost it. This entire time he's been trying to take down the Mystery Shack here or there, which, like, okay, but girlie, there are so many other ways to humiliate your enemies other than, I don't know, making them homeless. Like, that had to be the most privileged clapback I have ever seen in my life. Yeah, I'm gonna make my enemies homeless. Ooh. put that little boy in the trenches. Also, this is very Grunkle Stan of Grunkle Stan, but him not having any savings saved up at all, so when something like this happened, him getting kicked out, like the whole point of him having this house in the first place that we learned was, you know, for other purposes, right? And I'm sure he had other plans to get it back eventually. You would think that it's a plot hole, but really I think he was just like, okay, I'm gonna probably do some things in order to get this house back, and I need the kids to probably not be a part of this, so I'm gonna ship them back home, okay? Also, he could probably just sneak into the shack at night also, but like, the fact that he had no savings in his pocket and no savings in his wallet at all to even keep himself afloat without the mystery shack for like longer than a couple of days. Concerning, brother. Concerning. So originally, when Bill shows up, it's in the episode Dreamscapers. And you would think that like someone like Odette, who's just an observer, regular person character in this story, wouldn't be able to know what is going on. And for the most part of the episode, yes, I'll still talk about the episode, obviously. But no, there is a triangle split in the sky and time slows down for like a couple of minutes. She saw that. Oh, absolutely she saw that. And so did the rest of the town. Now, of course, we know, we, the audience, know way too much about Bill Cipher at this point. Like, way too much. Girly, I don't think therapy can fix you anymore. I'm sorry. The axolotl can put you in therapy all he wants to, but I just don't think it's gonna help.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
You're right, Bill. The universe is a hologram. A holographic trading card. Now, this is the part where I personally go really crazy because watching this episode again for the first time in 10 years, yeah, I'm not joking, I haven't seen Gravity Falls since it came out, so it's been over 10 years since I've watched the show in full from beginning to end, and watching Bill for the first time, everything that he says makes me go, like, I literally point at the screen like, oh, that's the thing that then later they do the thing and the thing and the thing. Like, I can't imagine 12-year-old me must have felt like a detective, which the whole world did after season 1, which we'll get to later, but oh, Bill, buddy. Like, imagine watching these episodes and everything just starts to come together, like the little clues, the triangle shapes, the bottomless pit, like, and of course the journals, let's talk about it. And also specifically character-wise, especially with the context of the Book of Bill, how desperate Bill is in this moment. Like, you would think it's like, oh, because he's this like being that needs to only work on deals, he's like a demonic being that only works on deals, he needs to have somebody there to help him, to anchor him to this plane, which is true, but like, the amount of desperation that he has in this episode in Dreamscapers is just like, he's not even the final boss. Gideon is still the final boss of this season, but like the desperation with the context of the Book of Bill, oh babes, he was desperate. He was very desperate. Yeah, this definitely fundamentally changed my 13-year-old brain. Anyway, back to Odette. While she didn't see what happened after the big giant triangle got opened up in the sky, she does know that the very next day Gideon owns the mystery shack. And everybody in town is once again okay with it because they don't really like Stan. And at this point, Odette just has to know where this rabbit hole goes. So when Gideon goes full on, this is where all the budget went mech, to track down the kids that have already left Gravity Falls at this point, Odette absolutely does travel behind them. Now this is nice. I love this season because we get to see a full character arc from Dipper. I love the character arc that Dipper went through this. He's very awkward, very shy. He has ideas and theories and things to say, but he's so afraid of not being taken seriously, and at some points he's literally not taken seriously by a lot of the people around him. And by the end of the show, or especially by the end of the first season, this is I consider this first season to be Dipper's arc and the next season to be Mabel's arc. By the end of this season, he is absolutely 100% like more sure of himself, more full of himself, especially with the whole episode in Dreamscaper where they go into Stan's mind and Dipper's just like, I don't, like, why am I being targeted like this, like, at all? And oh my god, we can get into it later when we get to A Tale of Two Stans in the next season, but the reason why Stan is so like quote unquote hard on him, even though he is already doing better than his own father in parenting Dipper, like, those are his literal children right there. I just want to say that. That little thing of, like, Stan, like, stopping what he's doing to look at a piece of money in that episode with the talent show to clap for Mabel. And, of course, the Waddles episode with Mabel as well. Yeah, those are his kids right there. Those are his kids. But anyway, back to Dipper, though. Dipper having this, like, full circle moment where he gets to be the strong guy that he is trying to grow up to be, and him jumping off the cliff. Very crazy, but him doing that to save his sister brings a tear to my eye. And also, you know, it was fun when you were a kid watching Gideon get the shit beat out of him. Because like I said, you know, when you're close enough in age, beating up an elementary schooler still isn't really okay, but it's still fun nonetheless, okay? Like, I don't think I ever scrapped with any elementary schoolers. Maybe in daycare, but like once I hit middle school, they kind of age you out of daycare. So like maybe once I was like in the 5th grade on the cusp of going to middle school, maybe I rough and tumbled with a couple of younger kids, but like Gideon had it coming, okay? No child violence, except in this very specific instance. The mech gets destroyed enough where it falls and explodes. And this is where Stan pulls the big reveal that Gideon has actually been spying on the town this entire time. And that is why he is psychic, quote unquote. Even though I'm sure somewhere in one of the journals, he could have just found out like a way to like read people's minds or just have some type of all-seeing eye thing. I don't know. But like, hey, he's exposed as a fraud. The whole town turns against him. He gets put into juvie, I'm assuming juvie, and never to be seen again for now. Also weird that the town believed that this man was a real psychic, but they didn't believe the dino pterodactyl flying around town. You know what? But hey, the town is relatively back to normal as can be, and the Pines family get to stay in Gravity Falls for the rest of the summer. Who knows what they're up to though. God, I wish I could relive this moment again. You know, that scene in Dreamscapers where they're going through all the doors and Seuss is like, oh, let me see. Also, was that real Seuss or was that, what's his face Seuss? Like, was that Bill Seuss or was that Seuss? Because now there's that scene where they're going through all the doors and they open the doors. Oh, no. Wait, no, it was Seuss that said that. He opened the door and it was when Grunkle Stan was going down into the basement from the vending machine, and he was just like, oh, if anybody knew that I have, and then he said boring, and it's supposed to be played off as a joke, right? Because it's like, oh, Grunkle Stan has a secret, ha ha ha, this is just a funny joke, whatever, it is his mind, so who knows. But then again, fast forward later when Mabel is like, surely there's something in the, I think it's in the last episode, where Mabel's like, surely there's something in the book that can help us out, and they're going through the book, and Dipper's like, oh, there's this thing, but like it's only like one part of a machine, and it seems to be this intergalactic world-ending machine. And she's just like, boring, don't care, keep moving. And you know what, that is a typical trope within cartoons, and I think especially at my age looking at that, I didn't think anything of it, of course, until the very end of the episode, but I didn't think anything of it because that is a trope in shows. It's a trope in shows to see something that is so clearly the answer and not go towards it because something cooler will happen later. That is something that happens on a lot of cartoons all the time. They'll be like, oh, how do we open the door? Here's this key, or we could use this chainsaw, you know, and the chainsaw is the cooler answer, so they usually go with the chainsaw. I thought that that was what was happening, and not only was that what was happening, but also what were they, I mean, you can't really do anything with it anyway, so even if Dipper, like, it's just one of those things where it's like only on your second rewatch, they created such a rewatchable show, because only on your second rewatch of watching the episode or even the whole season are you going to catch the fact that this is something that obviously comes up later, but also the fact that, like, what was Dipper going to do if they had continued to have that conversation? If they had continued to have that conversation, I don't think that they would have, like, been able to do anything about it. Like, oh, this is mystery machine. Okay, we can't do anything with it, though, because clearly you probably need all the other journals. Like, you could probably piece that together on your own. But, like, you clearly need all the other 3 journals, so you can't really do anything with it. So it wouldn't have helped in that moment. But it's just a cool little, what is it, Easter egg, but, like, a future Easter egg? Like, a foreshadowing tool, I guess? And of course, with Stan, all the clues were there as well. All the times, of course, he brushed off Dipper's, like, stuff, but at the same time, while brushing off Dipper, and all of the times he said, like, oh no, this is real, he also then proceeded to believe in that hypnotism was real, and of course that the apocalypse was coming, and also the dinosaur thing. Like, the clues were there, babes. We just weren't looking. And also the biggest clue being that Bill was like, also, in that one scene in Dreamscapers where Stan was talking about Dipper, when he talks about, like, all this stuff about Dipper and why he's so hard on Dipper, and he talks about his own life, and in every scene in this flashback you can see Stan in the background, Stanford in the background. I was literally pointing at the screen like, oh my god, he's right there, he's right fucking there. Like, again, I didn't really rewatch any of the episodes as a kid. I just watched them as they came out, and then of course watched theory videos and stuff on it. But this is the first time in, like, over 10 years that I'm sitting here watching this and being like, oh my god, like, it was really all right there. Like, like, Alex was just crazy for that one. But yeah, I say all this to say, also Bill being like, Stanford, because of course, the question remains, did Bill, like, immediately know that that wasn't Stanford? Or did he think that was Stanford when Gideon was like, I need you to go into Stanford's mind? And he was like, Stanford? Yeah, okay, yeah, absolutely. I think he did. I think he absolutely did. I think he thought that was Stanford at first, and then when he saw that it was Stanley, he was like, oh, whatever, okay, well, I still need to do this, and you're the twins, so like, okay, whatever, I'll just do it, right? But I think like that was part of it, is the fact that he's going by Stanford this entire time, and Bill should know the difference between Stanford and Stanley. So very interesting, very, very interesting. But yeah, definitely Dipper should not have taken Stan's word at all when he was just like, kid, you're going crazy, kid. I'm going to take this book from you. You're going crazy, kid. Like, he should not have taken Stan's word at all, because once again, the whole hypnotism thing, like hello? Like, I know that's like a big thing, but like just saying you believe in hypnotism is saying you believe in magic and shit. So like, please. But hey, like I said, Dipper's trying to prove to the whole town, not just Uncle Stan, that the crazy stuff is happening in this town. And Odette is trying to prove that the town knew that all these crazy stuff was happening all along. Will she succeed? I don't know. I guess you're just gonna have to find out in the next episode. Oh, thanks for watching all the way to the end. If you did, you are a real one. I know this is going to be a long one. I know, because I'm sweating and I've had to restart my recording about 3 times. So I know this is going to be a long one. But this was very fun to film and, of course, write. You know, I got to exercise a little bit of my creative writing chops. So I hope you like it. I hope you like this, like, way that I'm really telling the story. I didn't just want to do, like, a single, like, recap of the show. There are other shows that I would love to do like this as well. So, of course, the second season, if you want that, let me know down in the comments, please. Obviously, if this flops, then I'm probably not gonna do it, but if you want it, I'm the type of person, if even one person says that they want it, I'll probably do it, because this is us, this is our little community, okay, over here. I don't need things to go super mega viral in order for me to make something. If every single Sonic video I put out on this channel has flopped, I need you to know that, and I'm still continuing to put out Sonic videos. Like, that's my priorities here, and those are my priorities. So anyway, if any of you want to see this, let me know down in the comments below. Also, let me know, like, your story with Gravity Falls. Like, how'd you get into it? Like, when you got into it. Like, I got into it when it came out. I know a lot of people got into it after the second season started to air and everything got crazy, but I think the first season is very underrated in terms of all of this, because first season is such good setup. Like, even the last 3 episodes of the first season makes you, like, primes you for the next season, because everything is connected, there's so many clues and everything, and I definitely understand why people maybe wouldn't have watched it at first, because it is a show that is very much so, like, week to week monster of the week type of thing, and it's very much like a slice of life until it isn't. So that, and it's still pretty much a slice of life until the end, but like the clues that lead up to it make you pay attention more, and of course the character writing being so strong that if you watch the first season before watching the second season or anything like that, before even knowing what's going on in the town, you fall in love with all of these characters. So when you find out Grunkle Stan is doing some shady shifty stuff, it's in character, but the fact that he's doing shady shifty stuff about the paranormal stuff going on, insane. The voice acting when he's like, yes, it works, like, he's so happy, he's like desperately happy. And it's like, why are you so desperately happy? And then of course we find out later. It's just so good. The setup is so good. I think that season 1 is very much so underrated in the entire, like, Gravity Falls fandom. But yeah, I just wanted to do something a little different to a show that already has like a gajillion YouTube videos on it, talking and recapping the show. How could I add my own, like, 2 cents to this as a person who has so much to say about this show? So much. And this is only the beginning. Of course, like I said, if you want, maybe I'll have a design for Odette later, maybe not. I imagine her as kind of like a Mangus Archives, like, type of person, where she's just like an observer until she's not. But of course, in this world, she will stay an observer. But like the Mangus Archives, that's how it works. Is like he's an observer until he's not an observer. But I kind of see her as that type of character. So she's not like gonna interact with the plot in any way for the sake of being able to retell the story. But I just think it's a very fun and also funny way to retell the story as someone who actually, like, lives in that town. Like, how, like, from the perspective of somebody that lives in that town, how did all of this go down? And people would just be like, yeah, yeah, makes sense. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Yeah, that's all I got for you. I hope you guys are doing well. I finished rigging my PNG tuber, guys. I finished rigging it today. Before this, I felt so productive. I feel so productive today. I finished rigging it today. There's a couple of games that I would like to play. Speaking of which, I need to sign up for the beta testing for one of these games that I would like to play on stream. So if you would I hope I stream soon. Anyway, I'll see you in the next episode. Love and peace.